An iconic family photo. Glenn A. Rollins reaching from the troop train window to grasp his mother's hand as the train leaves for the unknown, while his father looks on. On Friday, August 20th, 2010, Glenn returned to the grasp of the parents he so dearly loved. On August 25th, 2010, the body of Glenn A. Rollins returned to the sandy red soil of Stevens County in Marlow, Oklahoma. This son of Clarence Washington and Thelma Lee Evans, devout Nazarene farmers, lived as a boy through the Depression, sharing the home place with many aunts, uncles, and cousins. Food was straight from the land and produced with the help of a grist mill, cider press, sorghum mill, and animals of every sort. Heartbreak was never far away, including the terrible drought which brought many difficulties, among them poor sanitation and dry wells. It was during this time that Glenn contracted typhoid fever. Remedies were few, and the doctor told the family that his death was likely. I remember a good many people praying, Glenn recalled. Suddenly, my fever broke. I picked up a small accordion that someone had given me and was able to make a sound with it. After 6 weeks, I was up learning to walk again. Glenn was his own man from an early age, moving away from the family farm at 13, marrying his childhood sweetheart, and joining the Army at 17. Like many young men during this time, he had joined the National Guard for the small source of additional income and was soon funneled into the maelstrom of the American war machine. The reality of war would be more awful than this country boy could have imagined. On September 9, 1943, Glenn Rollins found himself in the 45th Division's 180th Infantry Company, which consisted of half 30 caliber water-cooled machine guns and the other half 81 millimeter mortars. Glenn carried the Springfield rifle grenade launcher, 2 or 3 grenades, a 45 caliber pistol, a field telephone, a personal pack, blanket, coat, socks, mess kit, towel, 2 canteens, and a field ration for days at a time. In addition, he often wore a canvas pack with 6 mortar shells weighing 10 pounds each. Glenn, with the boys of the 45th, would fight in the North African Campaign and the invasion of Italy through the mountains in some of the bloodiest battles in the war. 25,000 lost in 21 days. By the time of D-Day, which many mistakenly believed was the beginning of the war, the 45th had battled for months to capture Rome. Much more was to come, including freezing temperatures during the Christmas Battle of the Bulge, opening the gates of Auschwitz and Dachau, and finally the Allied forces' triumphant entry into France. These early experiences would define his life for the next 70 years, including his timing, sometimes good, sometimes not so good. Glenn would tell the story of how his division was headed home by sea right before war's end. During the voyage, the Japanese surrendered. As a result, the ships which had been headed to Japan were allowed to return to the United States. Glenn's division returned to Europe and would wait for 7 long months before returning home. Not great timing. But he also had bouts of excellent timing. He loved to tell the story of his chance meeting and subsequent dinner with Elvis Presley and the Presley entourage during business travel in Glenn's favorite professional position, a sales representative for 20 years for Whitman's Chocolate. Yet again, bad timing. He had to be coaxed to tell the story of turning down then-client Sam Walton when asked to contribute $5,000 for Mr. Walton's startup retail chain. We are sure Glenn's mother, although in heaven, was especially proud in 2001 when Glenn received his high school diploma 60 years after attending Marlow High School. and at the age of 80 when he experienced his first Billy Graham revival 20 years after his mother's original request. Father to Carol Ann, Ralph, and Nancy. Brother to Jane Ellen Armstrong, Evelyn Steele, Joan Jeffers, John Paul Rollins, and grandfather. Preceded in death by many, including his parents, one sister, two daughters, and grandson Spencer Glenn Rollins, most of his friends and Army buddies. Glenn, at age 87, ends his earthly journey to begin anew in heaven. We are grateful for Lenora Rollins, the mother of Glenn's children, who cared for him for the last few years. Also, special thanks to Shirley Higley Evans and her family, who consistently took time to visit. A special thanks to nephew Tom Steele, whose eloquent remarks at gravesite ceremony blessed us.